Good evening, it's meteorologist Michael Fecka. Welcome back to the 9 p.m. all-weather, all-streaming show that we do here every night during the workdays and on weekends. We stream it out to all of our streaming platforms as well as to Facebook Live and YouTube Live. So if you are watching from either of those platforms, please feel free to leave us a question or a comment. Hopefully I'll be able to address any of the questions and comments as I go through the forecast, but if not, I'll go through at the very end and see if I can address anything individually for you. Just checking my audio here real quick, and it looks like we are good. So let's go right into our headlines. What are we tracking here for the next couple of days? Well, through tonight, we're still looking at some breezier conditions with some increasing cloud cover. That'll lead us in, though, to a mostly sunny day for our Thanksgiving. Still breezy and cool out there. And looking ahead to the weekend, we are tracking out that possibility of even some snow and rain showers moving in Saturday into Sunday. So I'll break down all those details, but here's a look at what our highs got to earlier this afternoon. We topped out in the lower 50s, 54 degrees here in the Evansville area. A stark contrast between those to our northwest, 42 up towards Springfield in central Illinois, and off to our south, Bowling Green topped out all the way in 60 degrees this afternoon. So a nice spread of temps across the region, but overall right around average for this time of year. But looking at our current temps, we've cooled off since the sun has set by several degrees. 37 degrees now here in Evansville and Madisonville, 35 up towards Huntingburg, and sitting at around 36 there in Owensboro and Henderson. So very chilly if you're headed out tonight, hitting the bars or doing whatever. I know a lot of kids are back in home for holiday break and stuff like that. You definitely want to bundle up, especially if you're having any late nights. It does get colder there. Temperatures should drop to around freezing overnight into early tomorrow morning, and that again will lead us into maybe some clouds through the very early morning, but again that will all clear out once we get through tomorrow afternoon. But here's a look at our current setup. We've got an area of low pressure off to our northeast, sitting and swirling over the Great Lakes region. Off to our southwest, we've got this area of high pressure, and in between those two, you get what's called a tight pressure gradient. So that's why it's been so windy today, because that pressure gradient force kind of drives our non-thunderstorm related wind gusts. So we had gusts closer to 40 miles per hour earlier today here at the Evansville airport, and even up north towards Mount Carmel. But those winds will calm down through the overnight hours, only gusting up to 15 miles per hour, but there's an increase in cloud cover through the overnight. A lot of it's going to be those higher level thin clouds, and you can see a few sticking around early tomorrow morning. This is around 4:30, 5 o'clock, but all that cloud cover should be out of here by around 9, 10 a.m., and we should be left with mostly sunny skies through the rest of the day. And we should even stay clear for Thursday night. That will allow our temperatures to drop down very, very quickly. So our lows Thanksgiving night into Black Friday, all the way down into the lower 20s. But here's a look at your day part forecast through tomorrow. Thanksgiving Day, again, a few clouds very, very early, but then mostly sunny skies through the rest of the day. Temperatures topping out only in the upper 30s to around 40 degrees. So cooler than today, but I think the breeze will be a little bit less. It'll still be a little bit breezy, but not as windy as it was today. So that will also be a factor. I think it'll end up feeling fairly similar to what it felt like today. But looking at our forecast here through the next 6 to 10 days, the temperature outlook through the first week of December showing temps continuing to drop below average there with that cooler air working in from the north. So taking a look at our temperature trend through the next week or so, you'll see our average highs usually topping out in the lower 50s. Will only top out in the upper 30s and maybe even the mid 30s once we get through this weekend and into the start of next week. And there you'll also notice that's where we have some opportunity for at least some snowfall. And looking at our precipitation outlook, our weather pattern may be becoming a little bit less active, but still showing up with precipitation amounts being near normal or slightly above through that first week of December. And looking at our potential hazards here through the 8 to 14 day period, you'll notice that a lot of the coldest air and the heaviest of the snow still expected to remain locked up to the north. So mostly impacting the Great Lakes region and portions of northern New England. We were included in a heavy rain risk a few days ago. It seems like that has backed off a lot. It looks like the system we're tracking for this weekend and into the start of next week may be losing a little bit of its moisture. But I'll break down those details here. So here's our opportunity for at least some snow and rain on Saturday, transitioning to all rain overnight into Sunday morning. And then that second opportunity, it looks like the air will be a little bit cooler. Now again, it's a week out, but this may bring us the best chance for possibly some all snow. So I will break down these systems, specifically the ones moving in for this weekend. That second system moving in for the start of next week, way too early in the forecast period to even wrangle with that. We're already a little bit early for this moving in the weekend, but there are some things that I'm noticing that I at least can show you guys here on our model. So I'm going to show you both models. We're going to start off with the European model. We're going to show the Euro and the GFS. Those are our global models. So these are, the most widely used. They they cover everything. You can, look at anything you want in a very far range. These are what we call our global longer range models. So when we play this out, I want you to keep in mind it's not exactly the highest resolution. So there's a whole lot of details within the larger models that you don't get until you get closer when we get into those high resolution model ranges. So I'm going to break down both these models. We'll start off with the European model. And at this point in time, it looks like the European model has the low a little bit stronger as it comes in from the southwest. Now, what that means is it means that the air coming up from the south is going to be a little bit faster, a little bit stronger. That warm air advection is going to be a little bit greater. So as this precipitation moves in through Saturday morning, there's really not a whole lot of opportunity for it to start off as snow. In fact, the European model has it starting off as just a straight up mix of rain and snow very briefly before changing over to all rain here with that warm air advection coming up out of the south. And then it kicks up out of here to our northeast by the time we get into Sunday morning. So very little snowfall accumulation expected with the European model. Now looking at the GFS model, what's different here is the low is actually a little bit weaker. And in your mind, you may be thinking, wouldn't that lead to less amounts of snow? Well, not necessarily. If the low is weaker, that also means that warm air advection is weaker. So if we get moisture riding in over top of that cooler air mass, obviously we're going to start off with a little bit of snow there. And the GFS has a harder time getting rid of that colder air. So that's warm air advection a lot slower, means we'd be dealing with potentially snow or rain snow showers for a longer time before we see that transition over to rain. So the GFS would likely put out some higher snowfall accumulations than the European model. Now, both are at odds with one another. So I don't really have a good forecast for you. I don't really have a snowfall map or exact timings yet. That won't come for the next couple of days, but I can at least show you what the models are suggesting. So this is the European snowfall forecast. This is not my forecast. This is not the official forecast. This is just the model data. This shows us getting absolutely nothing here in the Evansville area, maybe a slushy coating on some grassy surfaces, and that's about it. Now the GFS, because that colder air is a little bit harder to move and that warm air advection isn't as strong, it leads to some higher snowfall totals. This model, I think, is going way too heavy on the snowfall amounts. It's putting out 6.2 inches in Mount Vernon, Illinois. So I definitely don't think that is going to happen here, but you can't completely rule out this option or this course for this low to take. Right now, they both do show those storm systems moving in. So they're in fairly good agreement, just not necessarily about the amounts and the exact timing. That is what we're going to fine tune here over the next couple of days. So I don't have a good snowfall forecast for you, but at this time I would anticipate at least some minor travel disruptions Saturday, especially during the onset where that snow could be falling. Again, I don't think it's going to stick too much to the roads, but grassy surfaces, elevated surfaces, you may get a quick slushy coating on that, and if you're farther off to the northwest of Evansville, you may have a better shot at possibly an inch of accumulating snowfall. But again, that is very, very preliminary. Thoughts will likely change as we get closer. So I know a lot of people definitely want more information about what's headed into this weekend, so I'm trying to give you as much as I can. First question, Suzanne, how much snow are we getting? I don't know yet. Good evening, Cheyenne, to you. Good evening, Michael, or good evening, Ricky. He says, hello, Michael. Happy Thanksgiving, says Jeanette. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Let's see. Oh, Simeon says, The temperature today was only around 44 degrees. That was recorded by my weather station. I think the temperature map showed the highs from yesterday. I can actually double check that for you, because when I saw that too, I was like, oh, that seemed a little bit warm. So let me actually go check out National Weather Service Evansville and see what our actual high was. Yeah. So it looks like our map maybe was picking up on that old data yesterday. But yeah, we topped out in the lower 40s today. So with that breeze, definitely made it feel a bit cooler. Thank you for pointing that out. Chris says, bring back the 70s. I don't like the snow. I know. Me and Chris, I think we're the only ones in here who are really riding for forever summers. He's made mention a lot more of, staying warm now that we're trending towards fall. So it's always good. The news app audio was breaking up really bad. Is it better now that you're on Facebook? Let me know. Bob says, turn your volume on. Can you guys hear me at all? Hello? If you guys can't hear me, let me know. William says, love the snow since I'm from the Michigan Thumb area. That's good. Yeah, they get a lot of snow up there. I'm very familiar with my friends up in Michigan. They're always talking about how snowy it is all the time. And I feel bad because I'm not too much of a snow lover. But Paula Schaefer says, good evening, have a good Thanksgiving, have a good Thanksgiving, and thank you. Okay, so it looks like Shelly says she can hear everything. But all right, that is all I've got here for the forecast. So I am going to wrap everything up. Again, we've got nice dry weather on the way for Thanksgiving and for Friday. It is going to be chilly though. Check it out. Highs only top out in the lower 40s tomorrow and in the upper 30s for Friday. And those morning lows, waking up Friday morning and even Saturday morning down into the low to mid 20s. So I don't know if anybody still lines up early in the morning for Black Friday shopping out front of storefronts, but if you are planning on doing that, definitely make sure you're bundled up as much as you can. And then as we head to the weekend, we're tracking out that area of low pressure. Right now, it looks like it will bring us a mix of some snow eventually changing over to rain. Just how much snow and when is that transition happening? That is still the questions we need to answer here in the next couple of days. But regardless, neither of these models are showing a big blockbuster snowstorm, and we're not really set up for it, at least with this system. Now, the air will be a bit cooler ahead of that second system for the start of next week, possibly Monday into Tuesday. We may see all snow, but that is very, very, very far out in the forecasting range. A lot is going to change with this system this weekend, so that will obviously impact how that changes our Tuesday system. So a lot of updates that you just got to kind of stay in tune with here, but that is all I've got here for the forecast, so I'm going to hop off the live stream. I'll send you guys over to 14 News at 10 for all the latest news and weather headlines. Until then, everybody stay safe, have a great night, and have a wonderful Thanksgiving.